This year's set, we have two more colleges in the pipeline that could take a megawatt between them. We have a site, an RSPCA site near Canterbury, keeping kitties warm at night. So we're covering pretty much all of the bases on that one. Council leisure centres, we're discussing with Dover. We've got a large tennis leisure centre and a council office, which is a grade two listed building, which is I've told them we'll do the second if we get the first. Since it's four stories up and will take a horrible amount of scaffolding. We're talking with Canterbury Council on three of their leisure centres. We're talking about Tonbridge and Morling, which is a council about two of their leisure centres, one of which will be a car park. Um, we're also working to build an agreement with Solar for Schools so that we coordinate our activities with them in Kent, so that we work alongside them as opposed to competing with them, because there's more than enough buildings to put panels on in our county. Um, Nearly 600 schools could do with it. So uh, I would say we have a target-rich environment. Many people paying too much for their energy. It's a matter of finding them, working it out, going through the governance. But we believe that we could spend considerably more than the amount we're about to raise in this year. Our constraints are time and manpower rather than anything else.
Battery storage is needed more and more as we go through the energy transition because we want to be reliant on clean power, and the sources of clean power, like solar, wind, and hydro, are intermittent by their nature because the weather's not always doing the same thing, and solar doesn't generate at night. Um, and so we need to be able to store the energy generated so that we can um, put it out into the network when people need it. Added to that, as we go through the transition, we will be experiencing times where we've got very good at deploying things like solar, but we haven't yet got very good at deploying the battery storage. And so, as we go through the transition, we'll find that solar generated in the middle of the day, particularly in the middle of the summer, will be worth a lot less and may not actually be worth anything. And so, to make the most of that energy, we'll need to move it to the times of day where people are using it. Currently, the profile is that we have peaks in the morning and the evening when we all get up to put the kettle on in the morning, and we all get home to put the kettle on in the evening. And so the Ray Valley Solar Battery is going to allow us to make the most money we can out of the generation at Ray Valley Solar. We'll also be capturing generation that we currently lose because all solar farms are designed to be larger than their export capacity because they very rarely achieve total peak power. And so the economics suggest that you balance the size again of the installation against the size of the export connection. And so we're losing what's called clippings every year, where the energy goes into the earth because there's not enough capacity in our export connection. So we'll be able to capture that and send it out to the grid when the solar farm itself is not generating as much. So we expect to capture about just over 800 megawatt hours of electricity that's currently lost through clipping. And that's about 300 houses worth of electricity. And then by releasing the stored power during times of peak demand, our other mode of operation, we'll deliver another over 100 tons of carbon savings every year, which is equivalent to taking about 45 cars off the road. All of that income generation means that the financial model for the battery is different from a normal solar rooftop or solar ground mount. We know that the life of a battery is about 15 years. We know that it degrades over time as you cycle it through the course of each day. And so we've worked with experts to model that so that the book value is naught by the end of the 15 years, and we've paid back all our shareholders by the end of the 15 years and any debt that remains in the project. And in the process, we've generated about £1.3 million of extra community benefit.
To our mind, if we can get them to sufficient scale, because we're looking at larger things rather than smaller, the focus primarily of what we look at is over 100 kilowatts, rather than the smaller ones, though we will cross-subsidize a little bit if it helps. But to my mind, if you are a school, if you are a council office, if you're a private business and you are not thinking about putting solar on your roof at the moment, you're really not analyzing investments. I think the rate of return is probably for doing it yourself, is probably less than 4 years. And if you can find investments which yield an IRR of 25%, then good luck to you. For us, if you're buying it from us, your returns will almost be infinite because they're our returns. I mean, we own the asset, but we can still deliver acceptable returns, with a relatively low cost of capital and make the deal ourselves. So we think that the product is a win-win for everybody at the moment. And electricity prices, whatever the government's going to be doing about generation costs, I can tell you that transmission and distribution costs are going to ramp up at faster than the rate of inflation. So costs will go up over the next decade. And it's a lovely hedge against those costs. And also events in the Middle East and Ukraine as well.
I think we're more and more confident about why we're here. And from the low carbon hub's point of view, we're here because the transition requires pretty much everyone to be able to contribute flexibility. That is moving the time that you use your energy, whether by the activity you actually do or by storage, in order to allow the system to operate safely and reliably with intermittent renewables. The government's put in place very strong policies and roadmaps about that. Unfortunately, I would say they're weakest on the inclusivity aspect, and we're pushing them hard on that. And going back to what I was saying about flexibility needing to be in every home and business, that means that communities need to be able to help each other and help the distribution network operators to make the change as efficiently as possible. We have to have a population who knows about this stuff, who knows what action to take, who knows where to go to get that action taken safely and reliably. And if we're going to get the most efficient and therefore most cost-effective transition in place. And I think one thing that I would also say is that we can help to keep the cost down, but innovation and a transition of this magnitude does require spend. And so, we try to help people understand the benefits of that spend when they see that the non-commodity costs of each unit of electricity go up. We hope that those they must come down eventually as we get through the transition. But we are helping people to understand that. And it's really crucial to keep the consensus together around the need to do that, which is increasingly hard in a world where we're seeing a lot of disruption happening at the moment. So from our point of view, our focus actually starts to be as much on the consistent engagement with people, with communities over the time that it'll take to make the transition, hopefully by 2050. We have a portfolio in place now that doesn't finish, the last lease doesn't run out until 2063. We have a financial model that pulls all of our assets together and shows us exactly what's going to happen in each year. We've done orders of magnitude studies. If we're going to take that role to help the community play its role, we need to triple our portfolio.
Our board is focused very clearly on making sure that your money will be put to good use. We look to deliver sound projects. We are cautious investors. We look very carefully at credit issues and the ability of the client to repay us. Um, your projects will deliver savings for those clients. It will lower carbon, so that they're sound in and of their own right, and you'll get a fair return. And as ours is a bond issue through an FESA, it can be tax-free. So from our position, doing good and making money, that sounds like a very healthy combination.
If you are interested in the circular economy and making the absolute best range of values out of every pound that you have spare, the best way of achieving that is putting it into community energy.